Right now, we've got JuJuan Buford on the line. Good morning, JuJuan.
Good morning, Danko. How are we doing?
All right. We're having a beautiful day. It started off a little chilly, but I mean, look at the sun. We've got fall upon us, right? There's no excuse not to get out there. It's not too cold. It's not too hot. It's perfect weather. You can't make any excuses today.
None at all.
Right?
Part of the charm of living here in Michigan, right?
That's right.
Changing seasons,
That's
color,
right.
scenery, all that fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. All that fun stuff. Yesterday, how you were explaining to me, we need to work on our Instagram presence and our social media a little bit. So we shared yesterday a little bit on our Facebook about one of the posts you shared.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw it or not. But
I didn't get the notification. I got to make sure that's turned on. Normally, I would have gotten at least a notification you did that, but elaborate.
Yeah, so I want to
hear.
I shared your posting about, growing up in Detroit and, being an entrepreneur and, doing the stuff that you had to do. And so just a little bit of story about you, and I thought it was a great segue to let everybody know that we'll be talking this morning. And, I'd like to touch on that a little bit. Do you remember that posting?
I remember the narrative.
Okay.
I think I posted a couple stories about that, but
yes,
the narrative never changes,
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me. What would you like me to elaborate on?
I mean, I want to know a little bit more about like what, first of all, I think that sends a message to anyone out there, be it, any minority, anybody that's in a tough spot, anyone that's wherever, you can decide where you're going to go, right? By who and what your influences are. But this is part of why we're doing this show. I think this is part of why you do what you do, is to influence other younger youth to try to help them on their path, so that you can teach them some of the things that maybe you learned along the way that could save them some time to get to where they want to be. I feel like that's part of your mission. And so
it is. It's Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and so that's what I wanted to follow up on, because I wanted to share that, because I think that post that you shared was really great, and it was a good segue for us to start talking today a little bit about people that with little means can overcome and can create the future that they want. I think a lot of times people don't recognize their own power. And I think that's our role here, to help lift people up, to activate them, to begin their journey. And so my question is to some of the younger folks with maybe not even younger, like, when you look at KFC's founder, he started that at 65 years old. So, you know what I mean? There's no excuse at any age or any thought. Like, you can go forward in your dreams. And how does one not look at those hurdles to be unsurmountable is one of the questions I think that starts it all off, is like, how do you begin that journey?
Well, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because I don't look at any of the situations that and circumstances that color my life as disadvantages.
Mm-hmm.
That's first and foremost. I really have reached a point where I don't necessarily see obstacles anymore. I just see challenges. I just see ways to temper myself, no different than you temper steel, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why we temper steel. It makes it more flexible. It makes it stronger, more resilient.
Good point.
And so, some people may look at the fact that they were born from the wrong zip code and say that's a disadvantage.
Right.
I say it's an advantage. Some people may say that I'm a female, and because of sexism, I'm at a disadvantage.
Right.
I would argue, no, there's some advantages to that.
Yes. Right.
Some will say because I don't live or come from a certain socioeconomic background, or because I don't have a certain cultural affiliation. These don't necessarily have to be disadvantages, right? So when I think about my circumstances coming up, I remember the day I chose entrepreneurship, I was told by family members, don't even look to us for support.
Right.
Day one, right out the gate.
Yeah.
I was told, I'm not going to support you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
You know, I grew up, where I spent a lot of my years in Highland Park. We can stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
and Detroit, West Side, Joy Road, Evergreen, Chicago area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I commented a number of weeks ago how I drove down the block that I lived on previously there,
Mm-hmm.
and there's only like a couple houses even standing.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So
Tough.
I didn't necessarily come from an environment where you were supposed to win. Let's just be real.
Right. Yeah, man.
Right?
I mean, for sure.
Um,
right. You didn't see anything
not-
making positive change around you.
No. So it wasn't like, you know, I had academically, professionally, every way you can think of, I didn't see many people winning legally.
Right. Legally. Exactly.
I didn't have reason to believe that I should be successful as an entrepreneur based on my environment, based on my learning, based on anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I did have was I was blessed and fortunate that my grandmother raised me for most of my formative years, and I got to watch her and my grandfather and how they got down,
Right.
right? And she instilled a love of certain things. Number one, the love of learning. A love of learning.
That's
right?
a gift.
I can recall, by the time I made it to sixth grade, I had read like 2 volumes of encyclopedias.
Whoa. Is that right?
Right?
Boy, oh boy.
Because while everybody else was out in the street doing their thing,
Yeah.
she's like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't going out there.
Right.
So I had to find something to do. It was either video games
Mm-hmm.
or it was encyclopedias. I chose encyclopedias,
Nice.
right?
Right.
That's what it was.
Huge knowledge in those.
Because you get tired. Because I only had one video game. That was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. So.
He gets bored of that after a
Pac-Man.
while.
Yeah. You playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. You playing Pac-Man. I got to do something different.
Right.
The other thing is she taught me to appreciate at an early age those individuals who were for me. She knew I was in an environment where I wasn't being edified. She knew it.
Mm-hmm.
She knew I was different. So she made sure at the end of the day that I always believed that I was a good person and that I may not know the path or the journey, but being good and being servant and being empathetic would allow me to have success, right?
Right.
So she was able to teach me those things. And, of course, those things have served me well today as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The other thing that she did is, you know, discipline and work ethic. Discipline and work ethic. A lot of that was instilled by her. You know, she'd wake up. My grandparents would wake up about 4:35 a.m.
Right. Early. That's right.
Yeah. Because they were from down south,
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky.
Okay.
So they brought that living up here. So waking up early in the morning is no thing. I've been doing it since the time from far back as I can remember.
Right.
You know?
Huge gift there, too.
There was
That's
no
a huge
thing.
gift.
Yeah, no thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would just watch her methodically. And to an extent, my grandfather died when I was young, but I got to kind of watch how he went about his day methodically.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like no waste of time. Now, they weren't moving like 20-year-olds,
Right.
but there was no wasted energy or time. They were doing something productive the majority of the time.
That's great.
That gets in you,
That's for sure.
right?
You watch that.
And right. And the reasons why I stress those things is because these are all things we can do.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Develop and inculcate a love of learning.
That's right.
Because in business is not what you know, is what you don't know. We can all do those things. We can all learn. Now, we might not learn at the same pace,
Mm-hmm.
or we may not learn in the same way, but we can all learn.
Right.
And as long as you're waking up above ground and you can learn, trust me, you're winning.
That's right.
You know, the thing about empathy and taking time to care and think about other people's well-being aside from your own, those are things we can all do.
That's right. On a daily basis.
Right.
On a daily basis to make it part of who you are.
Right. Instead of waking up, who can I sell to today?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of waking up, who's going to buy from me today? Wake up and say, who can I serve?
Right.
And who can I serve better than anyone else?
Mm-hmm.
I can do it better than anyone else because people don't pay 5-star prices for mediocre burgers for White Castle. Right?
That's right. They're going to pay $1.27 or whatever they go for. Right. I don't even know, but yes.
But if you're willing to go out there and serve better,
mm-hmm.
if you give people 5-star service, and of course there's some other things involved, but it all starts with 5-star service.
That's
people
right.
believing that they're getting more in return than they're paying for, you're going to win.
I mean, that's what,
right?
Yeah, when you go out with that attitude of giving, like it's really you're trying to give service, you're trying to be there for your client or your potential customer, and that attitude, it spreads and it shows volumes when you are authentic in that word.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, last but not least, developing the work habits. Right?
Yeah.
These are all things we can do.
That's right.
You know, I saw a quote the other day that I posted, and the basic message was, look, you're going to work, running yourself into the ground for somebody else, and you're not getting any closer to financial independence. You're not getting any closer to being free. You're not getting any, most people are not getting any closer to living a life of satisfaction, but you're going to work and you're running yourselves into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You come home tired and you say you don't have the energy to do something for yourself. No, it's not that you don't have the energy. You're not inspired.
Inspiration. That's right. You don't have the inspiration.
You're not inspired.
Mm-hmm.
You can find the energy to clock into a job that's not going to get you any closer to freedom and enjoyment and living a life of satisfaction and purpose, then you have the energy to do something that will deliver those things, right? We make time to do the things that we really want to do.
Always.
We find the energy.
That's right.
Always.
Always do that.
Always. We will find the energy and time. Exactly.
That's right.
So these are all things we can work on. Now, let's say these things are challenges for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you get around people who have chosen not to allow these things to be challenges.
All right,
get around people who have chosen
mm-hmm.
not to allow these things to be challenges. I think I have huge advantages over my competition. Number one, I know what the dirt tastes like, so I'm not afraid of work.
Right.
So at the end of the day,
that's right.
I can just fall back on my work ethic, and I'm gonna level the playing field just for my work ethic alone.
That's right.
Right, I'll outwork you, so I'm not afraid of work. That's a huge advantage.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh man, that's a lot.
Also, people, say racism and this, that, and other. Okay,
mm-hmm.
I acknowledge, I know it exists.
Sure.
But in my mind, in some respects, it's an advantage because, look, at least I choose to see it as an advantage in some respect.
Absolutely.
And that's because I'm accustomed to the no's.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing, there's very little or anything anyone on the planet Earth could say to me to dissuade me. Very little.
I love it. And it's true. It's your mindset, though, that protects that strength that you have.
Yeah, and it came from being told no repeatedly over and over again when I knew I was qualified, when I knew I was better, when I knew I was able. It came from the stereotypes and rejection associated with those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all it did was give me the fire to become better.
That's right.
To become stronger, to become more than my competitors, to hit harder, to fight above my weight class. I'm not afraid to walk into the room and be the least experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to walk into the room and have the least amount of resources or the least amount of experience. I'm going to get in that room and I'm going to compete.
That's right.
And I'm going to eventually acquire those things. And at some point, you got to see me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do.
right?
That's right.
And so this attitude that I have, these cultural recognitions that I have are advantages to me.
Yeah.
People want this in their lives. They want the fire, and I bring it.
That's right. I mean, you know,
So
that's. I mean, I love what you're saying because you know, but it's one thing. You had that advantage of that programming young, right? You were basically programmed by your grandparents for that. You know, developing that work habit.
well, I was programmed with the tools. These are tools,
Tools.
right? But but it's just like having a hammer. If you don't know how to swing it, it's of no use.
Yeah.
So what I had to do was learn how to swing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the learning comes into play. Because I didn't know how to swing the hammer. Sometimes I didn't even know what I was swinging at.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have to use a hammer to bang in a nail.
Right.
You can't use a hammer to saw a tree.
Right.
So sometimes I was using the hammer to saw a tree. No, you need to know what you need to know what you're taking aim at. So you need to know what nails to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to develop the skill to hit that nail harder and faster than everybody else, right?
Right.
And those are the things that could not be taught, right?
Exactly.
You know, the other things that couldn't be taught, and I'm just going to be transparent with this, I don't know any other way to be.
Hmm.
My grandmother could teach me how to be a good person, but she could not teach me how to be a man.
True.
So I had to kind of learn as I went. I had to bump and bruise, be fortunate enough to meet other men, have examples. Even though I didn't have the best or closest relationship with my father, I still paid close attention to the things he did right.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to bump and bruise, make errors in judgment. Because as a man, you have to protect like a lion.
Right.
You have to be willing to kill like a lion.
Right.
But you also have to be able to empathize like a mother sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fine balance. Learning how to protect yourself and also learning how to give.
Right.
Like being able to anticipate, being able to turn the game of life from a game of checkers to a game of chess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is some caveman manhood stuff.
That's right.
You have to learn out here or you will be getting eaten alive.
You will slowly be nothing, right? You will be, like you said, you will be eaten alive if you don't know how to provide, protect, right? It's gonna be quick and fast that you're gonna go down. Eaten alive is a great way to describe it because that's really what it is.
Yeah. So I mean, all these things, right, have taught me. And when I look at other entrepreneurs, I mean, look. When you look at most entrepreneurs, most of them, not all of them.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the NBA's politicking and pretending to be entrepreneurs, and they are holding on to their W-2s.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
But I'm talking about entrepreneurs. People who got out here and by the sweat of their brow, work ethic, and whatever else they can find and scratch and claw to achieve. Look at their background. A lot of them are not MBAs.
Right.
A lot of them didn't finish college.
Yeah, exactly. A lot didn't do that. Right.
Yeah. A lot of them didn't grow up in an environment where their parents were particularly wealthy.
Usually the other way around.
A lot of them didn't. No.
Mm-hmm.
So, in this world of social media and broadcast and all this other stuff, we're being fed a lot of images and information that are actually contrary to what's really happening out here on the ground level.
Yeah, for sure.
We're taught we're U.S. citizens started out survivalists.
Right.
Somehow we got transformed and morphed into consumers.
Yes.
So we're just constantly consuming stuff.
Yes.
And most of the stuff that's being laid out on the table for us to consume isn't good for us.
It's terrible for us. Matter of fact, the food that's put out so far over these last 50 years has been all like not good for us to eat, but it's been laid out that way.
And I'm not even talking about food.
I know.
About soul food.
Right.
Soul food. I'm talking about intellectual food.
Right.
I'm talking about spiritual food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the things that create happy, healthy people, happy, healthy families, and thriving entrepreneurs. right?
Right.
Most of the stuff that people are receiving, they don't even know it's counterproductive to their success. And so, I could point out so many individuals, so many, from all backgrounds. Open up a Forbes magazine, open up a Wall Street Journal, open up a Black Enterprise. Start looking at not the CEOs and the individuals who acquire these positions because of their background.
Right.
Oftentimes, they haven't built anything. They're inheriting the sweat equity that somebody else built.
That's right.
Find out who the entrepreneurs were that built these businesses and built these corporations and built these small businesses and mid-sized businesses. Take a look and take inventory of them. What you're going to find the majority of the time is they don't have any of the accoutrements that you think you're supposed to have based in society. What they have is a hunger to win. They've defined a why. They're on fire about something. Something motivated them, even if it was simply not ever want to eat government cheese or or live hand to mouth again. Something motivated.
Something got them off and running. Right.
Something got them off and going. You'll find the most successful entrepreneurs, those who are growing.
Yeah.
They're learners.
Constantly.
They're learners.
Yep.
Constantly learning, right? If I talk to someone and I find out they're myopic or they're closed-minded or they're not willing to learn, I know they're on borrowed time.
That's right.
Whether it's a minute or whether it's 10 years from now. Trust me.
Right.
They're on borrowed time.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
Because the knowledge they have today is not going to work. It's not going to suffice for tomorrow.
That's right. You have to evolve quickly in this atmosphere. We've seen that right now. It's like you have to be able to learn, jive, move, learn, and then use those things. Also, idea creation comes from, I believe, being very aware of your surroundings.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, there's memorization. I'm not going to get too nerdy today.
No.
There's memorization. And then there's what I call intellectual flexibility, right? When you are truly a learner, you're a thinker, what you're doing is you're taking and collecting information, you're aggregating it and applying it, right? That's what learners do. They say knowledge is power. No, it's not. Applied knowledge is power.
Applied. Right.
So you can have a lot of things memorized. But if you don't know how to synthesize it and put it to use, I'm not saying that memorization doesn't require intellect, but the type of intellect that I tend to gravitate to and respect are individuals who can take information, look at it, and say, I can use this here.
Right.
To improve my situation. Right? And then turn around and execute and apply it. To me, that's the type of intellect that I look for in an entrepreneur. The other thing that I look for, because look, we're giving you the game tonight, you all, today that is.
That's right.
You have kids who wait up at 4 a.m. in the morning, night and day don't even matter sometimes. Anyway,
right.
We're giving you the game today. If I'm chatting with someone and every time I talk to them, the first words out of their mouth is what they aren't going to do, what they don't want to do, what they don't feel like doing, you're in trouble.
Right.
Your work ethic is compromised.
Right.
I look for people who are, when the challenge is set before them or they have to do something new or something uncomfortable, I look for the people who say, I get to do this.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that I get to do this. I'm fortunate that I have this problem.
Right.
I'm fortunate that I have these issues because it gives you a chance to become more valuable. See, if you aren't born with the advantages and accoutrements that most people have, the thing you have that they don't have is grit.
Yeah. Right.
When life 1-2s you, you don't stay on the mat and stay laying down. You get up.
Yeah, because you've been 1-2'd before. It's not the first time.
When you don't have all these advantages, when the stress and things don't go your way and hardships occur, you're equipped with the material inside of you to deal with it. You're going to be more creative. You're going to be more able. You're going to be more valuable, right?
Right.
I can consult with someone whether they're earning $20,000 a year, or I can bring value to someone earning $20 million a year because of that experience, right?
That's it.
And so for those listening in who say, I'm not from the right zip code, not from the right family, I'm not the right sex, I'm not the right ethnicity, good.
Yeah. Good point. I mean,
Now,
excellent point. Like you're saying, take that disadvantage and you make it an advantage for you.
yes, yes. And look, it may take you a bit longer than you want, but I'll leave individuals with this. I've seen people build it fast and lose it fast.
Sure. Me too.
I've seen people build it fast. I've seen people be given things because of their complexion, because they're from the right family, because they grew up in the right zip code. I've seen people be given things. And because it was given to them, because the path didn't have trials and tribulations because they weren't tested,
right?
I've seen them lose those things. I've seen people get knocked down and not get back up.
That's right.
It may take you longer to get to your destination because you don't have certain accoutrements. Okay. But trust me, when you get there, no one's going to be able to deprive you of it without losing their livelihoods themselves. It's going to be a problem.
That's right. That's right.
Right? It's going to be a problem because you've been through the fire. And 9 times out of 10, that's what ends up happening. You know, I can tell you from personal experience, I had a conflict recently in one of my businesses with some business partners. And it happened.
Sure.
Right? With employees, business partners, staff.
Yeah.
And for me, I couldn't help but smirk because I'm looking at them and I'm thinking to myself, you have no idea the can of whoop behind you just opened. You have no idea how inflammable I am. You have no idea that whatever drama or stress you think can be in my life is like only worth 1/1000th of the issue I've dealt with.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you've gone through the fire and you have that confidence and know-how and you know that what you're doing is for the greater good, it cannot be taken from you. So don't despair if it's taking you a little bit longer. Their journey is their journey.
That's right.
Your journey is your journey.
Yep.
And trust me, you're going to be, a lot of times you're better off for going through the fire and getting things quick. I'm not saying there's not any benefit to moving fast and having success and it not taking an entire lifetime. Don't get me twisted, right?
No.
But what I'm saying is, don't always believe easy is good.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. And also, to add to that, just JuJuan, like that ability to have failed in certain things gives you also that power to, you know, because when someone is looking for someone, let's say to hire, or they want someone that has failed, that has done what you just said, that has gone through the punches, that knows that they can get up after they've been knocked down. And a lot of times people that haven't had that experience, we're not going to put in those roles because they're going to blow up, you know. So in the CEO role and a founder role takes all the energy one can muster to take that to the next level. Trust me, I think, JuJuan, you see some people make it easily because something just all went really easily and all went right, but it's never that easy. And the story that comes before that is probably long and deep. You know what I mean? And there's so much that we can discuss in that. But experience, and don't be afraid to fail, because that's going to make you even stronger. And I think what JuJuan's also saying is in harness the journey and gain from it what you can. When you do find challenges, that's only going to make you stronger as you go forward. And look at your disadvantages as an advantage, because really you can use every disadvantage to an advantage. I love the way you put that, JuJuan. It was excellent the way you put that, is using your disadvantages to your advantage. So I appreciate every Monday you call in. You get me inspired. You know what I mean? I hope you feel that we're touching the people that can benefit from this. I know we are. And so thank you so much, JuJuan Buford from nextstopsocial.com. And you can also reach at JS Buford on Google. Is that correct, JuJuan? JuJuan, can you hear me? Oh, I think we lost JuJuan. Yeah, and you can reach JuJuan Buford at nextopsocial.com, or you can reach JuJuan at JSBuford on Google. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You're listening to Ask the Neighbor here. We just had JuJuan Buford. We were talking a little bit about the advantages and disadvantages people may seem that they have, but really developing the work habits and the empathy and the love of learning can take your disadvantages and create a whole nother. Is that JuJuan again? All right. All right, JuJuan.
I don't know what happened there. I just heard some nice elevator music.
That's all right. That's all right. Hey,
okay.
This is I was just summarizing what our talk today was about. And I was just saying, you know, developing the work habits, that's something that people can do, you know, going over what you discussed and what you've learned from your grandmother and your grandparents, some of which then you took and applied in your own way, and you looked at the disadvantages and how you can create them into advantages for yourself. And I love the message we gave today, JuJuan. It was a beautiful message. No matter where you come from, no matter what resources you have, you can get that inspiration to overcome and produce the life that you want to create for yourself, is what I think we say every Monday. You can do it. Right, JuJuan?
Yes. Yes, you can.
You can do it. We you know, it's funny because you were in Highland Park, I was in Hamtramck, you know what I mean? And trust me, we're
literally a stone's throw away from each other.
Exactly. And you know, when you grow up in areas like that, you see a lot of things that other people do not see. You know, you walk the alleys where other people in the suburbs walk, you know, beautiful streets and clean things, and you just see different activities going on. And I believe that was an advantage for me because it inspired me to look at entrepreneurship, because in Hamtramck, there was a ton of people that would come from different countries, open a business, and do and then start living their dream. Other people went to the factory, but some people opened up businesses, you know, and I saw that happening all the time in Hamtramck. And, you know, just people, diversity, you know, and coming no language. Yeah. Like, you know, how about you don't know the language, JuJuan? How's that for a disadvantage? You know what I mean? Hey. How about you don't speak the language at all? And they somehow make
You'll
it
learn
happen.
the language.
You learn the language.
You'll learn how to say I'm hungry.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So I always, yeah. So, I mean, I really love the message that we had today, JuJuan. Thank you so much. And I want to make sure that we just clarify, nextopsocial.com is how you can find more information about JuJuan. And also you can search on Google J.S. Buford. Or at J.S. Buford.
At J.S. Buford. At sign J.S. Buford.
Excellent. Well, we love having you on the show on Mondays, JuJuan. You get us all going and motivated. So thank you very much for being on the show. We appreciate you.
You're so very welcome.
All right. You have a great week.
You too.
All right. Take care. That's JuJuan Buford for Next Stop Social, letting us know that there's definitely a way that you can build your future, and there's steps to it. Developing the work habits, and don't look at your disadvantages as something that you can turn around and make into a positive for yourself.